Hello.
Hey, buddy. Back home in the comforts.
Yeah, just did a round
Nice.
of Ted shearing, so I feel nice and summery.
Nice.
How you doing?
Good. Yeah. Um, just been working on the survey to get out to everyone to see what they thought. Um, uh, still, still in go mode, not quite relaxed yet. Still got the
Yeah.
survey to do, still got some finances, things to work out. Um, so yeah. Uh, and I could really use a little pee break. Hmm.
I mean, it's just us. Go for it.
Okay. I don't imagine. Oh, I'm gonna make you a host so that if somebody comes in, you can add them.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So, um, what do you think would be the most beneficial use of our time?
Reflections?
Mhm. Like
Oh,
in my mind, that's highlights, like things to keep, things to change.
just a moment.
Mhm.
Sorry. A friend of mine's just uh euthanized her dear pet of many years. And so we are which yeah, I mean, what a hard choice to make even for a pet. Like you seem to be having too hard of a time for it to feel ethical to keep you alive.
Right. That's rough. No.
Hey, we're getting together with her tonight to just like take her mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But apologies.
Nothing. No worries. Um,
Yeah, reflections, start, stop, continue,
mhm.
and next steps.
Okay. Hold on. Let me write that down just so.
But I'm not at all attached to that format.
Mhm. Um, but let me just write down so I have it. What did you say? Start stops?
Celebrations, start, stop, continue.
Celebrations. Start meaning like,
What didn't we do that we want to start?
mhm,
Stop is what did we do that we want to
want to
remove.
stop. Mhm.
Continue is what did we do that we loved and want to keep.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna say start, stop, and keep. Yeah, and celebrations. All right, let's start with celebrations.
Cha.
Right. Uh, hmm. I mean, you weren't there for this, I don't think, but one of the things that I'm really proud of was my ability to switch on the fly during the teacher training once you left. Like, I got the feedback of like we really liked the rapid fire, and like the first half of class, like some people got it, some people got the like breakdown of, getting all the knowledge around a topic and then what, why, how, what else, and breaking it down.
Yeah,
And it was not using fail to succeed, right? It wasn't using KVA as
yeah,
strongly as it could. And so for the second half of class where I wanted them to work on like a technique, instead of doing that same structure, I just used rapid fire and said, okay, how do we make, I want you to teach something. The goal is to teach it universally, but actually it's great if you don't. Just teach something and I'll be giving you feedback on how to make it universal as well as how to be effective as a teacher.
yeah,
Um, and and so yeah, we didn't end up going into breaking it down in those sections at all. Instead, as they were teaching, sometimes I would be like, teach the why, or teach this part that I saw was missing. Um, to give them an experience of those sections, but uh, not go so slow.
yeah.
That
The
makes
pivoting on the
sense.
fly has always been a strong point.
Yeah. Yeah. So celebrate that. I was like, hey, and also just being able to KVA better, um,
Yeah,
which I find really hard in teacher training. Uh, right. Like it's a lot of the concepts I want to get across. I'm not sure how to KVA them.
totally. And
Yeah.
you get to the point where the best that you can do is a show and go.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Um, what other celebrations for the teacher training? I mean, it seems like we had more than I counted 17 people in the room at the end. I don't know how, because I'm pretty sure I had under 15, like, or I had like exactly 15 signed up, and one or two people didn't even show up, or I think one person didn't show. So, like, I must have my numbers off. But we had over my goal of 15. So,
Well, it was a nice group.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I thought everybody was really pleasant, even the people that were challenging, like it's good to have them in there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I thought we worked really great together. As usual. Always love working with you. But
Same.
yeah. I thought you managed the baby, like managed Gabriel great. Um, and we were still able to do like everything I was looking for. So uh, uh yeah. How about you?
I liked all the small group work.
Mhm.
I thought that um, allowing people to divide into working solo or working with one other person or working in small groups was brilliant. I thought that
Yeah.
that was great. And it struck me as a nice corollary to in a mixed level dance class, forcing people into mixed skill groups.
Hmm.
Whereas in a kind of conceptual class, allowing people to self-select into their preferred working format had some similarity to it. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but there was something about giving people optimal conditions in which to work that seemed like both of those things had. And I expected it to work well, but it felt like it worked even better than I thought it would.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there was a dynamic nature to it where the people who chose to work solo would then sometimes uh get through their personal reflection and then cozy up to somebody else. So it gave people the permission to dynamically change when their needs changed.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that as well. Uh, um, hmm. Any other celebrations? Uh,
I think that having the teacher training on Friday primed the trainees well to actively participate in the workshop weekend. Um,
mhm. I noticed one of the things Anu said, like she came up to me and she's like, "So did you design this in a way that like the teachers were gonna start helping through Saturday and Sunday?" Like, and I'm like, I didn't specifically plan that ahead of time, but as soon as I saw teachers start to, right, I encouraged it. Right. So like Anu popped in with something during the birthday jam of like getting everyone moving. Right. And I encouraged that from her. And like um there were things like that it's not like I planned ahead of time that they would, but um I kept space, or I at least was open to it. And I'm wondering how I can like subtly influence so that it is planned in the future so that it always happens rather than this time it happened by chance. Uh, Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. Um, there's more on that. I think we could build on that.
Mhm.
But just in terms of celebration, like it definitely
Yeah,
set up people well for actively participating. And then you ended up with all these people in the workshop weekend that raised the value of the workshop because they were better dancers.
yeah, yep. Uh, uh, nice. Any other celebrations. I feel like in my mind, celebrations and keeps are kind of going in the same category. Uh, so we might not need to do keeps later, but uh, yeah. Other things for teachers. So I feel good. You ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Um, yeah. Stop or change
Well,
or
start,
or
stop,
start.
continue. So what are the
Yeah,
things to
start.
add? Um, I think it some kind of an intentional, some giving some job to the teacher trainees over the course of the weekend. Um, some way
Hmm.
to actively practice what they've learned on on Friday, on Saturday, Sunday, whether it's
Yeah.
public or not, just uh, giving them homework because it's a great forum for them to practice stuff. What's the stuff? Even if the thing
Hmm.
is, hey, when are the moments that you would do something to freshen the room? When are the moments that you would have changed, moved on sooner, or when you feel like you should have like stayed on a topic a little bit longer and dug into it? Um, if you were running this class, how would you be running it? Um,
Hmm.
so that they are actively paying attention, not only as dance students, but also as um, dance instructors.
Hmm. Like one thing I'm kind of thinking is like they can be thinking of themselves as my what do you call it? Like CC kind of does this, although I argue that CC is beyond demo partner and into like pretty close to equal teaching partner, although
Yeah,
she still thinks of herself as demo, like but there's a better word than demo partner, assistant. Like think of yourselves as my teaching assistants. And throughout the weekend, as you think this is what we should do next, I want you to come to me and tell me. What do you think of that?
I think that that's a reasonable bid. My first reaction was, would do I think that they would come talk to you too much and that it would be overwhelming? And
Right.
I think the answer is no. I think that it's more likely that there will be people that never talk to you and there will be people that talk to you constantly.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. And this technically happened without me needing to say it,
yeah,
right? Like Caitlin was very uh um not consistent, but she did it a few times. Anu did it a few times. Um and I definitely could have handled more. Cece
right.
did it a lot, right? Um yeah, and I'm just thinking like if they had that chance to come to me, they could hear my thinking around, what they're thinking. Um, yeah. I also like the idea of like, your I don't know if it's one person's job or everyone's job, but like you're the slay the stale, you know, that's your job for the weekend. Like you're going to slay the stale. And it might be safer to have them come to me, rather than they
Yeah,
just do
than
it.
just doing a thing. That
They,
introduces the layer of safety.
mhm,
But some jobs for them, and
mhm,
I do think that that your teaching style is conducive to. It's not like you intentionally leave a lot of dead air for
mhm,
people to figure stuff out. Um, but one thing that I remember really liking from the teacher retreats that you used to run is the judicious use of hand gestures.
Hmm.
Uh, and I wonder if there might be some introduction of hand gestures with the teacher trainees as plants when they're like, I feel like I've got this and I'd like to go practice it. Or um, I'm ready for another topic, or um,
Mm.
what are the instead of just getting a vibe check, um, what are the pieces of information that if you could create two-way communication between yourself and the entire room with live gestures, what would you train them to do? I don't have
Right.
answers to that question yet, but I feel like that is something from the teacher retreats that could feed into the teacher trainings that could be the seed to get everybody at the workshop doing some kind of live feedback for you that you could use to make decisions.
Right. Like that was one thing I was going around consistently asking was like, how much more time do you want to work on this?
Yeah.
And I could have that be something that the teachers just know, like they can signal to me at any time with certain hands gestures to like, all right, I'm ready to move on, or, I want 5 more minutes. Something like that could be done to give me uh time where I don't need to check in, where I can get that just because someone, or a few people gave it to me, or yeah, or like maybe every time I do a vibe check, like it's the teacher's jobs to give me instead of a vibe check, a like I want 5 more minutes or something like that. Like, and all the others are just giving me a vibe check, whatever way I ask for. I don't know. I liked it. Like, I think there's something to do there. Not sure what yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Any other jobs that you can see like would be really good for teachers to practice, like, and to practice noticing? Um,
It's tough because you do such a good job with class management. The kinds of things that I might invite them to notice in other people's classes are irrelevant in most of your classes.
mhm,
Um, when an instructor repeats things more than twice,
mhm,
I might give them this list, even though in your class it's not going to happen much.
mhm,
When an instructor repeats things more than twice, when an instructor says no to their partner or to a suggestion or a question
mhm,
from the class instead of saying yes
mhm,
and.
mhm.
Um, when there's a question that gets two or more responses from the teaching partnership,
Um, Say that again. When there's what?
when there's a question
Mhm,
and both people from the partnership feel a need to respond to it,
mhm,
especially if there's more back and forth than just like the first person says something and then really does the second person also need to say something? Like, did it add value the second time? And then did the first person need to then say something again? Um, is there back and forth about this?
mhm.
So yeah,
I-
multiple rounds. Feedback on feedback. We didn't squash feedback on feedback in the teacher training, and I think
That could be
we would have
something.
benefited from that.
Yeah, that could be something to uh just on its own. Prep to remove feedback on feedback. Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one. Um, yeah, like one that kind of goes along with what you were saying, like are multiple people talking is are they offering more than one tip per person between practices? Uh,
Yeah. Are
prac
there brief pauses between rotations actually brief?
brief. Is the rotation all structure appropriate for the content?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is it just going around the room? Is it just randomly find a new partner? Like, could there be a better way? Yeah. Um, yeah, the only like the thing that I think is hard with this right now is like it feels like too much to ask somebody to do, right? Like pay attention to all these things. Like if it were pay attention to this one thing, everybody can do and remember to do that during class while they're also learning. As soon as you get two, three things, it's overwhelming unless maybe we have like a check sheet.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you treat it like you do a dance feedback thing.
mhm,
In any given dance, focus on one thing. In any given class, pick one of these things to focus on.
mhm.
And you might,
Uh,
yes, you have a sheet and maybe you change things between classes
mhm.
or
Maybe I
halfway
just
through
give
class or
them,
whatever.
they all get the sheet ahead of time and they are
Yeah.
all get the same focus. So it's like, make every dance amazing. I want everybody to pay attention to Slay the Stale, right? And then this class, I want everybody to pay attention to this thing, like so that they have a direction for each class of like, okay, this is what you're going to pay attention to. Um, and they get a lot of different things to focus on rather than,
That's interesting. I kind of like that from a leveling perspective of they don't have to pick, and that's nice.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, because otherwise, so many decisions, they're gonna
yeah.
like have analysis paralysis, I would think. I mean, we can
Maybe
always
you just
say,
make a recommended thing and then
yeah,
you give them the option of like, if there's something else you'd rather pay attention to, please do. This
yeah,
recommendation is yours to use or ignore.
yeah, I like that. Hmm. Yeah, I like that. Um,
I think that that's probably pretty good for me from my stop list
mhm. That I put that all in the start
or
list.
the start list. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay. Okay, jump into stop. Stop chest change. Maybe give me a sec to like come up with a few first to train myself and see what I recognized, and then you share what you see. Sound good? Let's see. Ah, I mean, I feel like for the most part, I kept people corralled into not, letting too many questions get answered. But like there were definitely times where uh I I didn't and then I felt like I was kind of like I had to let a couple more people talk because I didn't say anything, like I didn't cap it early enough, and it just would have felt too abrupt to be like all right, we're moving on. I felt like I could have recognized a little bit earlier sometimes to say, okay, I'll take two more or something. Uh, so I guess the change would be like deciding how many like I want how many comments I want to take before I even start. Take before
I'm not
ahas.
following you. Will you maybe come at this from another angle for me, please?
Yeah, like when I would ask for feedback or ahas, I'd be like, okay, what'd you guys get? Right. And people would start saying, oh, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. Right.
Hmm.
And then I'd be at a point where I'm like, okay, like I've taken enough like feedback that I want to share my next tip and move on. But there were still like people that really wanted to share. And like I hadn't already given them like okay, I'll take one or two more yet. And so I didn't feel ready to just like end it abrupt. I felt like ending and going on to the tip at times was going to feel too abrupt. And so I took two more, sometimes three more, like, based on the energy. And I think if I had in my mind, I'm not sure about this, but I think if I had in my mind, okay, I'm looking for 3 to 5 comments here, or I'm looking for inspiration for what to move on to. Like if I had a more clear purpose for why I was asking everyone, I could have moved on smoother and got more done. There was definitely times where I was like, I feel like I could have got more done, but I didn't. And part of that reason was because uh I was letting so many people talk. And so the talk sessions got longer than my ideal. Not a huge amount, but by a few minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the information delivery wasn't as dense as it normally is.
mhm,
And I think that fit really well for the weekend. People liked less content with more reps. And my personal read is that on Friday, it felt like it was like there were a few folks at the high performer end of the class that didn't get as much value as they could have. Like wasn't
mm,
quite moving fast enough for them.
mhm,
Um,
Yeah, and honestly, right now I'm thinking of I got stuck on Saturday, Sunday, like
oh,
Friday. Yeah, thinking about Friday. Um, I think Friday, the speed aspect was probably due to the like sitting down, like building things out too long. Maybe like values and requests, like those were fine, but I probably could have tightened them up and just skipped the last 4 or 5, um, to get the feel that we're like looking for this without needing to have every single thing put down. Um, and same with the like breaking down the KVA stuff, or not KVA, the um part one follows don't dip yourselves type thing into like how do I teach this universal stuff, flipping that like I did in the last class and just being like, I'm just going to have you teach it. I'm going to give feedback as you go, and I'll show you the structure of the feedback that I'm giving, but you can work on the structure on your own time versus just like get out there and teach. would be more valuable. Does that make sense?
I think so. What I heard from that is
Yeah.
that you really wanted to give them a like scaffolding of knowledge that they could hang the details on as you worked through them. And I don't think that this is exactly what you were saying, but my take is that we spent a little bit too much time on the scaffold, and like the presentation of the scaffolding wasn't as like smooth and clean as you wanted it to be. So we kind of got stuck there a little bit too long, and then we didn't get enough ornaments on the tree fast enough for people to really feel like, oh, shiny. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's
so if
spot
there
on.
was some way to like give them some part of the scaffolding and put a few ornaments on it, and then give them another part and put a few ornaments on it, then it might be a smoother experience for them and might also feel shinier faster.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hmm. Basically chunk down those big parts, right, into more digestible, they can start implementing and just get feedback on that part, right? Which probably comes from more things like rapid fires, where they're just like start to
Yeah.
teach with the context of like um uh what's the, we're looking for the benefit of what we're teaching here. Like, all right, I want you all to teach a, traditional thing that is like, this is the way to do it. Go ahead and teach that. And we're all looking for what's the benefit, right? And then they get a chance teaching. We can give them feedback on their effectiveness while looking at like, what's the benefit of this? And now, okay, somebody teach the opposite. Go in and just teach, right? Follows do dip yourselves, right? What's the benefit of that? Like, do you see that as the potential or?
I'm kind of thinking of it slightly differently in the like this is a constraint. This is a like how do we take any concept and shove it through this perspective of um, universality. And um, I wonder there's a way to if there's a way to like get right into an example of it so they kind of see it in action and then generalize that into the structure and
Mhm,
then give them another example so they can see it again. Like
mhm,
try and KVA it a couple of times with a little bit of like sh- pulling the scaffold, pulling the
mhm.
structure out of the example.
So
Um,
am I teaching the example? So like I'm teaching
Yeah,
follows.
or a plant, you know.
Mhm,
You're doing the example live and then like remember how we used to set up a classroom area and a teaching area and we would go back and forth between them where everybody left their notes and their notebooks and the whiteboards and the and
so
so you could do the demos over in the class area and then like come over and you have a pre-written um scaffold thing that you were like notice how I did this and notice how I did this and notice how I did this. Now this next time we're gonna do this again and I want you to watch for this and this and see if they can then see things live as they're coming out. And that way before you have the kind of intellectual shoving an example through this like constraint of
yeah.
universality, they have a more clear idea. And this I would have liked this too. I wanted to have a more clear idea of what universality was before we were filling out forms about
Yeah.
taking different ideas and making them universal.
Okay.
Like
So,
a felt sense. How do you give them the felt sense of universality and why they care before they're taking different,
okay.
dipping themselves, different examples and filling out a form?
So let me see if I understand. Like if I were to implement this, I could implement it like, all right, normally you'd experience this. Everybody, let's do this dip. Follows, don't dip yourselves. Right. And now let me break down this dip. Right. Here's me taking that and making it universal. All right. Everybody, let's learn this dip. Here's what we're doing. Right. Now I want the follows to practice following it, and I want them to practice doing it on their own. Right. Go ahead. Now, when we're practicing doing it on our own, here's the extra things that I'm teaching that don't normally get taught. Right. Here's what I'm doing to make sure the leads don't hurt themselves. All right, let's practice this. And now going back and all getting together and saying like, okay, what was the benefits? Like, here's the scaffolding. Like, did you notice I did this and I did this? Like, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think that could work.
Sounds like it wasn't quite what you were thinking though, or
No, I mean I'm making this up with you as we go.
Mhm.
Um, um, maybe it could be a teaching to well, there's universality in dance and there's universality in teaching.
Mhm.
So maybe there's a 1-2 punch that you give them of teaching a concept universally and then teaching a concept in a way that's really common but not universal.
Mhm. I mean, that's what I was doing there, right? Was like
Yeah.
first the non-universal, right? Like, here's just we normally teach a dip this way, right? And then here's the universal way to teach the dip, right? Like, and in that one, we're dealing with a moment, if that makes sense. And that's why I break this out. There's moments where people aren't universal in like a like objective versus subjective way. And then there's like a technique like counterbalance um, that gets taught either universal or not. And that's like I'm splitting these two into two different things, right? Like moment of like, ooh, we're teaching a subjective way. And it's not about breaking down all the different ways we can do this. It's about reframing the subjective thing into the objective, right? And that's what we did when you were there in class. Like we did that with follows don't dip yourselves. We did that with um uh I forget what the next thing, maybe ground. No, grounding was the other part. I forget, but we had them. That's when we were writing stuff down, right? And everybody was writing on those big sheets.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like when it came time to do that, I didn't I didn't feel like I understood the concept enough to really get as much out of that exercise as I could have. It was like a lot of classroom time with not a lot um uh of like teaching time. And it was front loaded classroom time where I didn't get it yet, but I was
Yeah.
being asked to like do it.
Right. So flipping it to where either I'm just teaching it and they experience me teaching two different ways. That's one. That's like sort of KVA. It's like regular KVA as opposed to like meta teacher KVA, right? Teacher KVA would be they're teaching it, right? And then they're getting the feedback and adjusting. Uh,
Yeah.
right? Which I like that. I'm just not sure, is that too much or I don't know. Um, um, but I do like the idea of them just going ahead and teaching it first, and then them getting feedback on it from the perspective of, okay, here's what was universal and here's what wasn't. Uh, uh, yeah, and it sounds like the two sections of class still aren't clear as well. Is that accurate?
Which two?
Exactly. Right. So like to me, there's two things, like there's subjective versus objective approaches to teaching dance, right? And so
Mhm.
that is when you hear someone say follows don't tip yourselves, or when you hear someone say uh follows don't anticipate, or leads don't be heavy. Like those are all like very subjective like commands that put like a value judgment on what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm. Um, and so that's one aspect, is reframing things like that to look for what is the benefit of the opposite, and how do we teach in a way that doesn't put a value judgment on it so that people don't go away um, uh, screwed, basically. Like your students don't go away going, well, fuck, I can't dance with this person, because they do that. They do anticipate. They do um, get heavy. They do dip themselves. Like now I'm going to have a bad dance with this person because they do what my teacher said you're not supposed to do. Right. So that's part one. That makes sense. Ready for part two?
Yep.
Part two is like we often teach something and teach it that it happens at a moment in dance in a very particular way, right? So in the swing out, we have counterbalance at these moments, right? Or we don't have counterbalance ever, right? Or we always have counterbalance, but usually a teacher will teach one of those, like this is the way to do it, this is how it's done. And um, and then how do we then take that, whatever we're teaching, let's say counterbalance, and teach someone to be able to use it in all the different ways they can use it, rather than, well, it happens at this moment like this. Uh, Posture is another good example. Like people teach this is the posture you should have, right, when you dance. When in reality, people have all sorts of different postures and like, how do we dance with all these different postures? If I'm going to bother teaching posture, how do I teach it? Here's a way to put it. Instead of teaching a habit of doing something a particular way, how do I teach the habit of adjusting to my partner in the music? That's the habit I want to build for someone to be a universal dancer that can make every dance amazing, is they build a habit of having posture that makes sense with the partner in the music, not having posture that makes sense with the move I'm trying to do because the teacher told me that's the posture I'm supposed to have for this move, even if it doesn't make sense with my partner, even if it doesn't make sense with the music. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And maybe this is a thing that my chief that I was confused about with the universality. when it comes to practicing universality, are we giving people the opportunity as teacher trainees to practice crafting classes like that? Or is there some sort of universality in teaching that we're trying to encourage them to have? Like,
Can you
are
give
we
me
giving this to
examples of
them from the
both?
dancer perspective or from the teacher perspective? And is there a meaningful difference between those?
Can you give me an example in one topic that would show me
Well,
the difference?
the universality of dancing might be like how do what's the posture that you need to adjust to for different partners um to make this feel right, right?
Mhm.
There's not a right way, there's not a wrong way. There's just like here are a few different ways that that might work well for this goal with different
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Um, what's the teaching equivalent of that? Of like, how do you give this topic to people in a way that's going to be as broadly applicable to your class as possible? Ideally, something that will land for universally for all of your students at the same time. Well, what are we having them practice? And in that, like the exercise that we started Friday with, I'm not sure if we were practicing universality of dance or universality of teaching,
Hmm.
but it felt like dance. So it
The
felt like a
yes,
way that we were training them as dancers, not a way that we were training them as teachers.
yeah. Uh, in my mind, like the first half when we had those two things on the board,
Uh-huh.
right? The first half was gaining knowledge around the topic um of like you need to know this as a dancer or a teacher. You just need to explore what are the benefits and things like that. So we weren't
Uh-huh.
into like teaching it yet. It was gather knowledge. Um, and then the what, why, how, what else was the like, okay, here's the basics of starting to teach that. Like, let's at least get a starting structure, but we're not diving deep into teaching yet. We've got like the beginning of what are, kind of the fundamental, like and really to me, the how, the proof is the what, I mean, the first three things, the what, the why, and the how, right? Like, what are you going to teach? Like, really, like, get it down, like, narrow it down to the specific thing you want them to get. And then what's the proof that they're going to get that? Like those are core elements, and you need to know why, because why are we bothering? Like that's also important. So those are like the fundamentals that we're about to build our lesson plan off of, right? But uh we're not building an actual lesson plan yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I suppose what I'm offering to consider is like maybe we
Yeah.
should. Maybe the way that we introduce the what, why, how is by building an actual lesson plan and then teaching that class.
Hmm.
Um, and doing the whole thing in 10 minutes.
And doing the whole thing in 10 minutes. Uh I
That's a made up
yeah.
arbitrary number, but like you pick one of the things from the list, you take them through the what, why, how, um, then you like invite them to the classroom, you teach the thing, um, and you go back and talk about it, like why did I do it like that? Why it's like
Hmm.
just I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm
I
overthinking
think
this, but I'm still confused
no.
about that tool.
Yeah, you're right on. I think you're right on track. It's just a matter of like, how do I do this in a time frame that, makes them um that gets a point something without spending too much time with the things that don't matter. What are the
Yeah.
things that I can get them to do? And I think you're right in there. It's just deciding how do we exactly do this?
So,
Um,
for example, like
yeah,
why are we doing this at all? Like
yeah.
we want a lesson planning tool. We want a way to plan lessons that's clear and reusable. We're going to
And
use,
that's and not just a lesson planning tool, but a lesson planning tool for creating universal instruction, right? Because I already have lesson planning tools, but they aren't necessarily going to create universal instruction, right? They might create an effective teacher that's teaching things that continue to teach people to have amazing dances with people who have the skills. And then with people that don't have the skills, like they're just going to get frustrated and get annoyed and like continue to go down the rabbit hole of the more classes they take, the less amazing dances they have. And that's the thing I want to avoid. I want when the more dances, more classes people take, the more amazing dances they have, right? Not the less amazing dances they have. And now they get burned out and never want to dance again because nobody does the 20 things that they learned that were really cool. Does that make sense?
yeah, like I know where you're coming from in the goal of universality. What I
Mhm.
don't know is why this tool helps. I have not
Mm,
seen a clear connection between this tool and making it universal. And what I'm hoping for is some way that we could give them that clear connection
yeah,
concretely
yeah.
uh, early
And
on.
when you say this tool, are you talking about the part one tool or the part two tool?
I don't have that language in my head. I have the what, why, how, and then the what else. Like I have all of those pieces of the tool. Um,
Gotcha. Yeah, neither of those are the tool. Like,
okay,
yeah. The tool, yeah. So the two tools, if we're talking about like the two things we're working on, right? One is reframing fixed fundamentals into fluid fundamentals, we'll say. Fixed fundamental is I use counterbalance at this moment in this move. Fluid fundamental is I know how to use counterbalance at any moment of any move and any type of counterbalance, any element. That's part two to me. I can use grounding um, with any partner at any moment in any move.
I'm about to hit my time window,
Yeah, okay.
so I'm gonna have to go. Uh,
Okay.
there's there's more to this clearly.
Yeah.
I think my takeaway from this is that there's still some clarity of understanding and goals that I don't have that hopefully we'll get to.
Yeah. I'm loving it. Like, that's what is helping, right? Because I'm not clear yet. And
Thanks,
it's
friend. Take
clear.
it easy.
All right. Thank you. Bye.